money.
What? It was a card game. Is that what they would do with that?
Yes.
Well, I'm saying that's how they paint out narratives. But I will tell you something though. Pat pays my mortgage. He pays my car insurance and my car note. And what else do we do? I haven't paid for a flight or for a hotel in I don't know how long.
The rumors keep getting louder that Pap is involved with Claressa because she's the one taking care of him, financially and otherwise. People are saying she gives him money, supports his lifestyle, and now there are interviews, bloggers, receipts, and even outright contradictions popping up everywhere. At this point, people are starting to notice a pattern. And honestly, it's not a good look at all. What's up, Diary family? Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe because we're about to dive into this drama. And yeah, this one is messy for real. So, Claressa shows up on the Breakfast Club, and at first, everything seems chill. She's laughing, joking, and talking about Papoose like everything is all good vibes. She even shares cute little stories about his birthday, making songs, doing all that couple energy type of stuff. Everything feels normal until it doesn't. Then things start to take a turn. At one point, she's telling a story that's kind of all over the place. Something about cars, a rage room, or a gun range, and how he got upset and picked the cheaper option. She's laughing it off, saying, "Oh my God, he was heated." But then, she says something that really makes people stop and think, wait, what? She starts listing everything out. He pays her mortgage, he covers her car, he handles flights, he books hotels, and she says it proudly, repeating, "That's a man right there." Now listen, it's not just what she said, it's how she kept saying it. Over and over again. That's a man right there. He pays for everything. He takes care of me. And when someone keeps hammering the same point like that, people start side-eyeing it. It raises a question. Who are you really trying to convince? Us or yourself? Because when something is real, you don't have to oversell it. You just live it. Now here's where things really start to get shaky. Claressa ends up telling two completely different stories about the same person. At one moment she says, "I didn't even know that guy." But later, it turns into, "We were friends." Wait a second. Which one is it? You didn't know him or you were actually close? That's not a small detail. That's the foundation of everything. And when your story flips like that, people start questioning everything else you say. And of course, the bloggers caught on fast. They started breaking it all down. Not just what she said, but how she said it. There was one moment that really had everyone locked in. She gets asked a simple question. Was there tension at home? Easy question, right? But instead of giving a direct answer, she sidesteps it. She starts shifting the conversation to what it means to have a real man. Classic dodge. Because when someone avoids a straightforward question like that, there's usually a reason. If everything is solid, you just say it plainly. Now let's talk about what people don't always say out loud, but are definitely thinking. This whole situation is starting to feel like an attention grab. Think about it. Before all this drama, nobody was really talking about Papoose like this. Nobody was watching Claressa this closely. And 50 Cent wasn't even part of the conversation yet. But now, it's everywhere. Interviews, clips, drama, tension, back and forth energy all over the place. And what keeps happening? They keep mentioning 50. They keep bringing up Maserati Bud. At some point, you have to ask yourself, is this all just coincidence? Or is there something bigger going on behind the scenes?
And then 50 is trolling. 50 Cent, the mogul, trolling me. First thing I thought to myself, well, he trolling me and Pap. What the hell I ever did to 50 Cent? I'm thinking in my mind, Did I do? Well, maybe I triggered 50 in some way. I've never done nothing to 50.
They keep circling the same situation over and over again. And here's the crazy part. She literally said, "I'm not here to give nobody a platform." So why does she keep bringing them up? That doesn't make sense. At one point, she even says, "I'm not here to give anybody a platform but myself. I've never had a sexual or romantic relationship with that guy." But if that's really the case, why does his name keep coming up? Now let's rewind for a second. New Year's Day. Do you even remember what you were doing that day? Because that's when things really started to shift. And we have to talk about 50 Cent, because whether you like him or not, he played this situation smart. She goes online, and suddenly, there he is, 50 Cent, the mogul, trolling. Her first reaction? Confusion. She's thinking, why is he trolling me? What did I ever do to him? Did I trigger something? Because in her mind, she's never had any real issue with him. But here's where it gets interesting. 50 didn't jump into an argument. He didn't go back and forth online. He didn't try to defend himself. Instead, he flipped the entire narrative. He shifted all the attention onto her. And now, look at how things played out. She's the one on defense, talking about lawsuits, cease and desist letters, trying to clear her name and protect her reputation. But the more she talks, the more people start questioning everything. Instead of calming things down, it feels like it's making everything worse. Now let's dig a little deeper, because this part, this gets psychological. There's a difference between actually experiencing something and trying to convince people that you are. Right now, it feels like Claressa is more focused on selling an image than simply living in the moment. Meanwhile, the women around her, they're just living their lives. No long explanations, no over-explaining, no need to prove anything. And that contrast, it creates pressure, fast. Because when you're standing next to people who naturally have what you're trying to present, the comparison becomes obvious. And people pick up on that instantly. Now here's something a lot of people missed, but it's actually a big deal. The whole best friend situation. If you really pay attention, something clearly changed. The energy isn't the same anymore. The interactions have slowed down. Subtle posts start appearing. And the timing? Yeah, it's suspicious. In today's world, that matters. Social media is communication. When the likes stop, when posts together disappear, when public support goes quiet, that's not random. Something happened. Now you've got tension in relationships, tension in friendships, and tension in public perception, all at the same time. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And people are noticing it fast. So now, here's the real question. Is Claressa lying? Or is she just losing control of the narrative? Because those are two completely different things. One points to manipulation, the other suggests everything is starting to unravel. Either way though, it's not a good look. Let's be real for a second. Nobody is questioning her boxing skills. She's elite. No debate there. That's not the issue. The real question is this. If you're that talented, why does everything keep turning into drama? Why does every interview feel like explaining, defending, and correcting the same stories over and over again? That's not power. That's damage control. And people are starting to notice it more every time she speaks. But here's where things get really interesting. The part a lot of people aren't ready to say out loud. When you step back and look at everything as a whole, a very different picture starts to form. It's bigger than just one moment. It starts to look like a pattern. Every time something happens, notice the sequence. Confusion. Multiple versions of the story. emotional reactions, then immediate damage control, and it keeps repeating. So now you have to ask yourself, is this coincidence or is this behavior? Because patterns don't lie. People do. And here's the uncomfortable part. What if this isn't about proving anyone wrong at all? What if it's about validation? Think about it. The constant explaining, the constant responding, the need to correct the narrative over and over again. That doesn't come from confidence. That usually comes from pressure. Internal pressure building up over time. Now add everything else on top of that. Public relationships, internet rumors, 50 Cent applying pressure, bloggers analyzing everything piece by piece, even friendships starting to shift. Now you've got a situation where every move is being watched, every word is being questioned, and every detail matters. So now the question isn't even who's lying anymore. It's how long can this hold up? Because situations like this don't just disappear quietly.